Okay, moving right along, Ryan Newman, he drives the number 39 Tornadoes Chevrolet, and with Stewart Haas Racing. He's 8th in points. And Ryan, before we go into the race weekend, I know that the Ryan Newman Foundation has been very, very active of late with the tornadoes that obviously devastated the southeastern part of this country. The Greater Birmingham, Alabama Humane Society, you're going to be working with those folks to help in this cause. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we've got a great partnership with Imes, the pet food company, and doing what we can to try to help out with the devastation, and ultimately, try to help the animals that. Just as we saw in Hurricane Katrina's efforts, the animals are thought of secondly, typically, and people are trying to take care of themselves so they can take care of the animals. So we're trying to do what we can to help with the efforts with IMES' support and our just local support to drop off food and things that animals need, in water and different things like that otherwise they may not get. So. The Greater Alabama Humane Society, as well as some other shelters down there, are doing their part to help out. And I think my wife actually is planning on a trip down there to help unload the trucks and get the food to the proper drop site so that the animals can get caught up on their feed and everything else. So just doing what we can from our standpoint, from NASCAR standpoint, our foundation to work together with their group efforts to help to control some of the devastation.
It's certainly a great cause because, when you think about it, all the devastation out there, not only affecting people, but it affects the pets. And sometimes that gets overlooked. So thank you so much for doing that with the Ryan Newman Foundation. Okay, Ryan, you come in here 8th in points. I know you're hungry for a victory this season. Talk about racing here at Darlington Raceway.
Well, I've always said this is one of my favorite racetracks. I really look forward to it. Just racing the racetrack and racing the competition, but the way you drive this racetrack, it's rewarding in several different aspects. But it can reach out and bite you in any second at the same time. So I look forward to it. We got the opportunity to do the Goodyear tire test when we came down here. I think that gives us a little bit of a leg up. But in saying that, we got to go out there and do our job and keep the right side clean and have a fast race car. So. Just look forward to the opportunity this weekend with the Tornado Chevrolet to get that first victory for our team this year.
Questions for Ryan Newman? If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start with Lee, and then we'll move forward. Go ahead.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. I talked to your crew chief, Mr. Gibson, this week, and he seemed what left him more upset about Richmond was just the fact of the toll that it takes on the race team itself. And can you talk about, when tempers flare, sometimes people don't think of the big picture implications, points, crew guys, everything else that comes into play? Well,
yeah, obviously. I mean, tempers flare, your mindset kind of goes out the window. But, I try to maintain a good mindset in the situation that I was in. And, ultimately, the way it all worked out, it cost us a lot for what we didn't do, and that's the toughest part of that whole situation there at Richmond. So, just getting caught up in a racing situation that in turn turns into something else because of somebody's temper is not acceptable in my eyes. So, we'll move on, and it was sad because of the way it affects our team. And I'm not worried about anybody else's team, but it affects our team because of because somebody losing their temper, and that's the way it is taken out on a team is different than the way it should be taken out on a driver, and that's something that we'll get addressed.
Okay, we'll go Bob Pockris and then David Newton.
Bob Pockris from SceneDaily.com. I mean, do you feel like that issue is over, or do you feel like, or will you race Juan any differently from here on out?
I don't think once you have an issue, it's ever over in what we do. Even when you think you're over it with somebody else, it can reflare really quick. And I'm not sure if that was something that was a part of what happened to Richmond, but either way, I'm still not happy about it. Let's put it that way.
David?
Yeah, Ryan, it seems like you and Juan have kind of had issues since his very first race back at Homestead. by his scorecard, you had wrecked him 3 times, and he'd never wrecked you until he retaliated. Kind of what started.
You read his scorecard?
Nah, he told us that.
Oh, okay.
So, what is your impression of what happened to kind of start whatever is going on between you guys, and what is really going on between you guys?
I'm not real sure, honestly. I know he's a really, hard racer. He's very physical, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you have amount of respect. And I think the respect went out the window Saturday night in Richmond, and I'm not real sure why, but I know for a fact that his spotter admitted fault of not even calling me out there on the outside of him off of turn 2, and why he would go and crash me afterwards is disrespectful. So, scorecard or not, what happened clear back in his first race at Homestead was merely an accident, and I was called to the NASCAR trailer after that to be reassured to them that it was an accident because he physically cut across my nose going into turn 1 on a restart, in which I crashed myself before that, so I don't understand where the scorecard actually is. It's not like I turned him around. I spun myself off of turn 2 at Homestead in whatever year it was. So I don't know who's number one, who's keeping score, number 2, how they're keeping score, and if it really matters.
Next question, all the way in the back. Rusty? Get Rusty a mic, please.
Rusty Ball and NASCAR Media Group. I'm going to spare you from those questions just for a second. If I could ask you to look ahead for me. One tough oval to another. Dover's been described as a self-cleaning roller coaster ride. Just you could kind of give your thoughts on Dover.
It's another one of my favorite racetracks. This little swing we have here, Richmond, Darlington, Dover, Charlotte, it's been kind of similar in the last few years, but it's a string of races that I really enjoy. Dover's a very demanding racetrack. The way the altitude or the elevation changes, I should say, going into the corners and coming off adds another parameter of it that makes it more exciting from our standpoints as drivers. It's a challenge, and I think challenge is just like here at Darlington. If you don't like a challenge, and you don't like Darlington or Dover, so I like them both. I look forward to racing there. It's fast, it's demanding. It's just I like the banked racetracks, and it's one of those.
Let's go with Jenna. Then we'll go over here to Brian, and then Claire.
Jenna Fryer, AP. I had a non-Montoya question, but I want to ask one popped up. What happens next going forward? Do you two are you able to race around him?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not. Haven't got to that part yet.
Okay. Jeff Gordon's crashed last week at Richmond. He hit a part of the wall that didn't have a safer barrier. He says he thinks that'll probably be addressed. At this stage, someone is as active in you in safety. Is it acceptable that there was a part of the track that he hit that didn't have a safer barrier?
I don't know if the word acceptable is right. I mean, it's part of the things that we learn, in hindsight. And whether it's Pocono, whether it's Richmond, whether it's another racetrack, I guess it was probably going back to Vegas when he first hit the wall on the inside on the backstretch that kind of made him magnetic to backstretch inside walls. But in saying that, there's no part of it, I guess, that you could say is acceptable. But if we don't take the time to learn from the things, or if our mindset is behind to the point that we should have, and we're not, we can blame ourselves because we didn't do those things to make it safer, then then it's our fault and it's not acceptable. But in the end, nobody got hurt. I assume he's not hurt. I think he was sore, but he's not hurt. And we can learn from those things and go on. And that's a big part of what NASCAR has done to get us in a position where we can keep making those steps in the right direction. So ultimately, it's never an issue. The second part of it is, and it's kind of a catch-22, we never want to make it so safe that, a guy can go out here and drive wide open into a corner, bounce off the wall, and try to hit somebody and take him out. It's just, there's a part of it where it still has to be partially dangerous.